Hello, this is Brian, Blastbeat ATX, aka Blastbeat Industries. Today's going to be a little more serious than in the past. If you watch this channel, and I highly encourage you to tell your friends to watch this channel, I make a lot of jokes. I like to keep it light. I like to keep it fun, but we need to talk about Antonio Brown. Something happened today. He got arrested. He had to go to court with his lawyers. He's out on like $100,000 bond facing a life sentence. It's not good. It's not good. And I always feel weird in these situations because I liked him as a player. I really liked him as a player. But you can't ignore the off the field stuff. I'm just speaking for myself, not anyone else. Up until that crap came out a couple years ago, Kevin Spacey was one of my favorite actors. He was in some seriously good movies. Seven, The Usual Suspects, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, American Beauty, House of Cards. That's not a movie, but it might as well be. One of the best actors of all time. And then we found out what he likes to do on his own time on the weekends. Ugh, you know. So we got another one of those situations here. Now, I live in Texas. I live in Austin. It's the Blastbeat ATX. And there's a school up the road in Waco called Baylor. If you don't know about their scandal, go to Wikipedia or Google or something. And it is porno producers in Los Angeles can't get that graphic as what happened on that campus. And Ken Starr should be ashamed of himself. The point of all that is I don't know Antonio Brown. I've never met him. I've just watched him play football like everyone else. I've watched him catch some amazing touchdowns and all that. And then I don't know what he does on his own time. We're starting to get a glimpse of that now. Apparently, he is not cool to women. He is just me too and chicks all coast to coast. I don't mean to laugh, but it's a real sad situation. And where this thing's touching my life is I was in the Army. And I've seen some traumatic brain injuries, some CTE, some people who big time got their eggs scrambled in Iraq. There was a guy, I met him at Fort Hood, but when he's at Fort Bragg's the 82nd Airborne Division. And that's tough guy, jumping out of helicopters and airplanes and all kinds of stuff. It's where the action is. And so this cat, do I have a sheet of paper? I have a sheet of paper right here. So he jumps out of the airplane and the chute opens. It's supposed to, boom, and then the air catches it. It does this number, right? Well, what his parachute did was it folded under itself. And they got some term for that, but it's not good. Because he did a 180-foot free fall onto the tarmac, hit the back of his head, and he ain't been right ever since. I've talked to him in decades, but when I saw him, you could tell he got his bell rung and he ain't coming back. Point of this is when it's been my experience through the military that when someone was just totally normal and had all their faculties about them, then all of a sudden they just lose their mind and start doing tons of drugs and weird sex stuff, fighting the cops, just acting like a maniac. Man, that's a big red flag that something has happened in between the left and right ear. And that's what I think happened to Antonio Brown. I highly recommend that legal thing, you got to deal with that. That's like Aaron Hernandez, right? Aaron Hernandez could have been all the drugs in the world, the biggest closet case on earth. If you bring a loaded gun into a nightclub, you got a whole different set of problems than concussions in your love life. You know what I mean? And so his love life is troublesome, like in a Harvey Weinstein kind of way, right? So not talking about that. I'm talking about his wackadoodle behavior. He got his bell rung. He got his eggs scrambled. There's no way that guy's brain is functioning normally. Trust me, I'll bet you every comic book I have back here that he has some form of CTE, TBI, brain weirdness. He has a brain injury, and not an excuse, but it's definitely a cause. You know what I mean? It's not good, And if the stuff I saw on CBS Sports today, where his lawyers are going lawyer on the situation, and he's been overcharged. He doesn't have a mental health issue. He's just misunderstood. Oh, dude, fire them lawyers. They're good. You might as well just walk him into his prison cell. That's not going to help him. And I'm being totally serious here. The best way to help him, the best way to help the victims, the best way to help everyone who's been personally affected by this is to get him the treatment he needs. Because maybe it's past the point of no return. That kind of stuff happens. But if it's not, let's get him back to normal. He didn't used to act like this. He's not one of to my knowledge, he's not one of the Baylor players. He's not a Miami Hurricane. He's not the school's notorious for their off the field crap. USC, those kind of people. He seems like he used to be normal. This is out of character. At least in my opinion, it's out of character. So, what does this have to do with the collectible world? A couple things. One, you've got the creepazoid factor. It's the reason O.J. Simpson's cards are still worth a lot of money. It's do you remember the story? I guess it was 2 Christmases ago, like 14, 15 months ago. It turns out there was a Mark Jackson card in the NBA Hoops set that he's like doing a bounce pass or something. And in the background are the Menendez brothers sitting courtside. And then that card went from like 10 cents to $25. I haven't checked it lately. I'm sure it's worth something. And the reason is you get those serial killer people, the people who buy Charles Manson's toothbrush and Ted Bundy's underwear, the people who buy all the serial killer paintings. There is a huge market for that stuff. You'll never see any of that BS for sale on Blastbeat ATX. I'm not into that. There's a lot of people who are. There's a lot of people who buy O.J. Simpson stuff, Ray Caruth stuff. Who's it? That guy that played for the Rams, not Isaac Bruce, the one who he really maybe it was. They had a receiver that really went off the deep end. Back in the Kurt Warner years, something like that. But those aren't the typical fans buying that stuff. I really hope Antonio Brown doesn't end up like that. That people are interested in his cards because he's the most famous inmate in California or wherever he got arrested. I don't. It's a free country. People can do what they want. However, I just highly recommend that they do not. That is not a good use of time. On the other hand, I don't see how there's going to be other than the creepazoid factor we talked about, the regular collectors and the sports fans. I don't think there's going to be an upwelling of support for him or increased demand for his cards. He ain't Michael Jackson. He ain't going to have 1,000 people outside the jail chanting his name. It's a sad situation, and my takeaway from what I've seen, again, I'm just another idiot in Texas. I'm not a doctor. I'm not one of his lawyers sitting in the meetings. I've seen this stuff before. I think he has a brain injury. I don't. You add that with some poor choice making beforehand, and it's a recipe for disaster. And here we are. So, I hope his victims get justice. I hope he gets the help he needs. I hope the creepazoid people put in another bid for Henry Lee Lucas's shoes and leave this stuff alone. And I just hope we all get along. Be a little more empathetic, be a little more understanding of people. I don't think this is. I don't think he's Al Capone or El Chapo or Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby or any of the other nutbags in our world. I think this is a guy with a brain injury. So you feel different. You think I'm way out to lunch on this? Hit me up below if you want to talk privately. Blastbeatindustries@gmail.com, or hit me up at Twitter, or hit me up at Facebook, LinkedIn. All the links are up here. I'm in the usual spots. So love to know what you think. I don't think I'm out to lunch on this, but hey, prove me wrong. Anyway, next episode, we're going to get back to happier topics. I just really liked him as a player, and it's such a bummer when this stuff happens. So hope your evening's not a bummer. Hope you hit like, hit subscribe. Come back, spend more time with me, Brian, here at Blastbeat ATX, aka Blastbeat Industries. RIP Dimebag, the greatest band this state ever produced. See you later.